One of the main reasons, if not the main reason, that I'm doing this over 12 weeks is because it's really important for me to show all of the ups and the downs. And oftentimes, what really frustrates me as someone who watches how other people do things is they only show the ups or they only show the end result. And so what ends up happening is we go back and that's not always their fault, by the way. Like it's great to show the end result. And then the challenge though is that without context and without all the different variables in place, people like myself and other people go to learn from them. And like we don't know what to do with all the ups and downs. We don't know that the ups and downs are normal. We don't know how to navigate them. And so if you're anything like me, you just quit. So today is officially the start of week 2 of this 12-week experiment. And the videos and not only the videos, but also the tweaks are going to get less and less as time goes on, which is what you want. So I made several tweaks last week. And if you haven't seen those videos, they're posted above. I have one video that shows you exactly how I set this whole campaign up. And then another video that shows you some of the tweaks I made on days 4 and 5 of the first week. So now we're on day 1 of week 2. And as you can see, I have a little bit of a problem here. I'm not panicking though, for a lot of reasons, for most of which is I've done this many times, but also I have a client right now whose dashboard looks exactly opposite mine. She spent like $45. Her sales are almost $300 and her advertising cost of spend is like 18%. And she has, I think like 13 orders. It's going beautifully. And I know why. I think hers is working really well. She has a very, very specific niche. And if I were to run this exact same ad experiment on my first book, which is geared towards parents of twins in the first year, I think it would run similarly to hers. So I purposefully picked a book that's going to be harder to hone so that I don't make it easier on myself and harder on you. Like, let's just let it be what it is and let's commit to figuring it out. So far, I've spent $25.96. I've made 2 sales. One was a paperback, one was an ebook. And this is my advertising cost to spend. And as you may remember, I mentioned you want this to be under 100, like well under 100. And I am not trending in that direction. So I want to show you what I've done. When I started this whole thing, I had one ad group, which was right here. And I was running ads to the ebook and to the paperback. And that's where we were. Since then, in fact, just yesterday, I added a second ad group. So I still have only one, and I'll tell you why. I still only have one campaign. So let's go all the way back to the original campaign. So as you can see, I still only have one campaign. I have upped my budget to $10. You do not have to do that. The reason I did it is because I was running out of budget at $3 a day because some of my keywords, along with this top of search bid adjustment, it was 75%. I brought it back down yesterday to 50. It was taking me to over $2 for a click. So I'd get one click and basically be out of budget. That doesn't mean you can't do that. Like if you're willing to sit at the $3 a day budget for longer or you need to, you 100% can do that. Just know it's going to take a little longer to get the data you need. And that's okay. I upped mine to $5 a day and then I upped it to 10 and I'm not keeping it here terribly long, just so that you're clear. But I've got my top of search up to 6.26%, which I feel pretty good about. And then if you look I'd like it to be closer to 100, but we're trending upward, which is the key. And then I added new keywords. So right now, I only have with this second ads group. So it's the exact same keywords. Okay. It's all the same. I think 29, 30, 50. I think I have 53 now. And I'll explain why in a second. But the last time I made a video, I had 50. I've basically been looking at what people are searching in order to add new exact terms. My first ad group, all of those keywords, all 50 of them were broad. They were broad searches. That is not working great for this book because a broad search in something like write the book will show up for someone who says, how to write fantasy, book writing exercises. It's it's too broad, and I feel like it's going to take me a really long time to narrow it down to figure out what people are clicking on that's generating a purchase, which is the key. And with my client who's running ads right now, she's getting like a 1-to-1 or a 2-to-1, meaning that for every click she's getting an order, or for every 2 clicks she's getting an order. And that's what you want. She has one keyword that's gotten 11 clicks and no orders, but we're going to keep watching it. We're not automatically going to turn it off. She's only spent like $4.70 total on that keyword, on clicks on that keyword. And I want to see if it can help get us some better data before we turn it off. Because I'd rather turn it off while turning on one that's working better, that we've determined from that keyword is working better. So with this second ad set, I'm only sending people to the paperback, not to the ebook. So far, I've sold 1 paperback and 1 ebook, but I'm getting much better click-through rates and much better cost per click to the paperback. Plus, my ebook right now is $3.99, and it's going to be for quite some time. So my profit margin, like I don't have as much wiggle room there as far as profit margin before the click costs as much as I make. And so I'm just breaking even, which I'd prefer to profit. So what's interesting is I've only gotten one. I have a $10 bid spread across 2 campaigns. And so far, I've only gotten 1 impression here because I made all of the keywords. Again, they're the same keywords, but I made them either phrase or exact, no broad. And I'm just going to let this go and see what happens. If this doesn't start doing something significant, it was a very slow start for the other one too, in terms of impressions. If it doesn't start moving in the next maybe 5 days, I'll tweak something else. Maybe I'll turn the other one off and turn this one on for a second, just to give it more traction. But what's been interesting for me is to go look through my search terms. So not for this data set. So if we go back to the original ad, so here's the original ad. Here are the 2 ad sets. So again, I have 70 keywords now. I promise I'm so committed not to having more than that. Like I'll turn one off. And actually I don't have 70 because there are 70 listed in the campaign, but some of them are turned off. So as you can see, I've got the ebook and the paperback here. That's why it says 2 products. And I only have the paperback here. I've got 2 orders. This is how many dollars in sales I've made, but that's not profit. And that's why my advertising cost of spend so my profit is way in the negative. Like I am losing money at this point. But that's fine because we're going to figure it out. So in this second ads group, I did all the same keywords, but exact and phrase only. So if I go up and I look at targeting, I can see all of my keywords. So you can see exact phrase. And the reason why it looks like there are more keywords is because in the first, they were all broad. On this one, they're exact and then their phrase. They're exact and then their phrase. So it's almost like a 2-4, and I had turned some off as well. In order to create this second ad group, I went into the first one, which is the one that's gotten the most impressions so far. So you can kind of see I had paused it on the ebook. So those ads are paused. I kept them going for the paperback. So I've had 25 clicks. My click-through rate is a little over 1%, which isn't terrible, by the way. So I've spent $21.99 on this particular one. And my cost per click is 88 cents, much higher than I'd like, but not the absolute end of the world. So what you can do, though, is you can, and I did, look at what search terms people are actually searching. And I like to do this based on what they're actually ordering. So when they're actually ordering. So if you click on this orders button until this little thing here, this little triangle is pointing down, you'll get your orders in order of quantity. So if there were 10 orders for a keyword, the 10 would be up here, the 9 and onward. But I've gotten 2 orders. And you can see that on this one, the keyword I had put in the ad was books on writing books. And again, remember, it was a broad keyword, which means that my ad might have popped up if someone had typed in artist books or painting books. Like it's so broad that it allows for almost anything with any of these words in it. But what you can see is what the actual customer typed. So they put in the search box book writing. There were 7 impressions of this ad for someone who did, total. There have been 7 impressions, of this keyword in the broad realm. And there was 1 click, and that 1 click purchased for this customer search term of book writing. So there's another one here, right here. This keyword that I had in my campaign is writing a book, which again is broad. So if somebody put in the keyword painting book or writing a crossword puzzle book, my ad might show up, especially early on, because Amazon hasn't figured out yet that my book doesn't really go with that. But what we determined from that is that that term in a broad realm matched up with this search. The exact search that the customer put in was inspiration for writing a book. So two people put in that search term. Well, twice when that search term was put in, my ad showed up. Once a person clicked on it and they purchased it. So here's what I did. This was a match type phrase. I added it in to the next round, the next ad group, and I can do it here as well as an exact keyword. So I'd take these out, I'd add it in as exact, and there we go. So now that's in as an exact and as a phrase in this one. And it's in as an exact and a phrase in that next ad set. Because if that's what people are typing in, this is almost training of the algorithm to say, well, that worked. Now, that doesn't mean it'll work for everybody, which is why we have to give this time. I mean, certainly book writing, I did not add in as an exact keyword because I think it's still too broad. What I know is if someone types in book writing accessories, I mean, I paid for someone to click on that. I paid 84 cents for someone to click on that. It showed up one time, and for some reason, the person clicked on it. The click-through rate is 100%, but they didn't buy it. Understandably, my book is not a book writing accessory. So what I wanted to do was make that a negative exact keyword. So anytime somebody types into their search field, book writing accessories, my ad will not pop up. Or at the very least, I will not be charged if they click on my book. Same with books on writing dialogue. That is not what my book is about. Somebody typed that into the search engine, again, based on this keyword that was in writing a book, right? So books on writing dialogue, because we have writing books or book. I mean, it made sense to the algorithm at the time. So somebody typed this in, they showed them my ad, the person clicked on it, but they didn't buy it. My book is not about writing dialogue. So I added that as a negative exact keyword. If anybody types in books on writing dialogue, books on writing fantasy, creative writing book, how to write a book outline. I mean, I talk about that a little bit, but that's not what the book is about. The mechanics of writing a book, like those are all negative keywords. And what that means is writing thesaurus books. So I'm looking at the things that people clicked on that made my ad show up, that somebody clicked on my book and then understandably didn't buy. I don't want to spend 76 cents or 99 cents for someone, $1.22. This is where I started to have a problem and reach my budget for someone to click on something that my book is not about. So my book is about writing memoir and writing nonfiction. And that is what I really want to start training the system to recognize. So over time, I also, if I wanted to, and I may today or tomorrow, go back in here and kind of turn some of these off, because writing a book as broad, like I'm liking seeing what they're coming up with, but book writing starter kit is I'm just going to do it right now. It's probably too broad. So anything on writing the memoir will keep. Writing nonfiction writing books, writing memoir on blah, blah, blah. Like we'll keep all this. That's fine. But I'll turn off even self-publish a book, because again, the book isn't about self-publishing specifically. Authorship books, write a book starter, I'll just turn these off so they don't even get any traction. Book writing starter kit, book writing starter kits adults, how to publish your own book. It's too far outside the circle. Like it's too far outside the bullseye. Publishing nonfiction books, definitely turning off accessories. I already have it in the negative, but let's just turn it off. So the one other thing I'm going to do while we're here is go back to the new ad set, and I'm going to check out that targeting. I'm going to make sure I have the same. I'm going to add in my negative keywords. So I need to do that now. And I'm just going to add in the same negative keywords that I had previously, but in the other ad, but in the other ad set. But under targeting, I'm going to scroll down here and just make absolutely sure that with this new set, I don't have anything that's just doesn't seem right. Anything that has accessories, anything that's about fantasy or fiction, and I don't have any. So I'm okay for now. But then we just have to see what people are clicking, and we can't see anything yet because we've only had one impression, and it's not even been there's no data for the search terms. So if you want to go back and see, and I do, which keywords, technically I could also duplicate an ad group. And I guess I didn't do that because that would have carried over but sometimes where it gets complicated is you don't want to have too many ad groups because then you have to, once you've created it, you can't copy and paste. You have to manually go do everything. So if I go back into that first ad group to see what negative targets I had put in there, here they all are. So I can copy those and then go back into the main campaign, grab that second exact keywords or whatever, go back to negative targeting, add negative keywords, and put those in. And I like to do negative exact. So obviously I've got to take some of this stuff out and clean this up. So I know that I don't want the ad to show up if someone is searching for any of these things, these exact phrases. So I'm just going to put add keywords and save. And there you go. And now I'm going to attempt to be patient and watch it for a couple more days and make another decision. Stay tuned, people, and keep those fingers crossed because God knows I am.